Hello everyone! I'm currently filming this unexpected little intro clip to this video with Oren here beside me, so you'll probably hear him in a second, because for some reason, the first time I uploaded this video, I hadn't realised that the first clip hadn't been edited properly. I have no idea how that happened. The only thing I can assume is baby brain, because usually I start from the first clip and work my way through a video, and then I end up exporting it and watching it before it goes live, and somehow it slipped through both those nets this time in this video, so I apologise for that. But I guess those of you who did see it beforehand, you got a sneak peek. Hello. A sneak peek into what my life, what those videos look like before I edit them and the work that has to go into them. So I hope you enjoyed seeing that little sneak preview, but for those of you who hadn't seen that, please enjoy this proper edited version of this video of me reacting to my newborn room setup. Hi guys, it's Bryony, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be filming a video that's a little bit different from usual. I've never actually filmed a video like this, and I've been on YouTube now for like 10 years, and I couldn't believe I've never done a reaction video before, but I decided today was the day because while I was still pregnant, I ended up filming a video called My Newborn Room Setup, which was uploaded and scheduled to go out whilst Oren was still a newborn. And I noticed that there were quite a lot of comments on that video from people saying they would be really interested to see what my reaction was later on, having had Oren, and looking at what worked and what didn't work and seeing how things went overall. And I thought that was a really great idea actually, so that's what I'm going to do today. However, this is my first ever reaction video that I've filmed, so I've not done this before, so please bear with me if this isn't quite as slick as some of my other videos are. I'm actually going to film this video all on my laptop, including my reaction, just because it's a little bit easier, but beware, the audio is not going to be as good quality as this is. So if you haven't watched the video already, be sure to go and do that. I will link it down below, and I'm going to go through it and see what things I had ready and what things I thought worked for me and what didn't, and yeah, let's just dive straight into it and see how we did. Okay, let's go ahead and see what was going on and what I think about my newborn setup. Hi guys, it's Bryony, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be showing you around the newborn setup that I have in my parents' house, because I'm planning to stay here for the first sort of 6-ish weeks after I give birth. As you can probably tell, I'm currently 37. This is really weird to see myself pregnant again. I know I had a bump and it wasn't that long ago, like Oren's only 4 months since I filmed this, but oh my goodness, seeing myself with that bump, it still feels really weird. Pregnant. By the time you see this video, baby boy will probably already have been born, however, so this will have been used for a while. I haven't quite worked out where I'm going to put this video out in my schedule, but he will almost certainly be here, so this will all be being used by the time you see this. But I wanted to give a quick overview of how I've set things up and just give you a quick tour basically. So first of all, I've got my mum helping me today with the camera, just it's a little bit easier to move about with this. Good old mum, she was really, really helpful in these last few phases, weeks when I was so pregnant and out of breath doing everything. So let's start off with where he's going to be sleeping and the bed situation. So this is his Moses basket. We don't actually currently have this in the room because it's, as you can see, it takes up quite a lot of space. So we'll just put this here to kind of demonstrate for the video. He will be by my bed when it actually comes to time for him to be here. So that. Okay, so he did sleep in that Moses basket. It was really helpful. It was probably just about the right size as well, because we didn't want I didn't want anything too big, particularly because they actually kind of prefer to be sort of swaddled and cozy at that age, particularly when they're newborn, they're just kind of fresh out the womb. And he did really well in this Moses basket, actually, I have to say. He didn't really nap well in the day. He still doesn't nap well now, actually, funnily enough. But at night time he was pretty good in it. There was only one night that I found it really difficult to transfer him, and he sort of slept on the bed with me. He co-slept one time, but other than that he was in this Moses basket. So the Moses basket was definitely a good thing. Where his cot is. We've just moved it out into the hallway now just to make it a little bit easier to film. So the next kind of section of my room is next to my bedside. I have a sink in my bedroom, which always fascinates people, wondering why do I have a sink here. I get so many questions about that sink all the time when people see me filming in that room and they see there's a sink in there. I do explain it in this video why I had that, but yeah, I get asked questions about that all the time. It's basically been here since my parents bought the house, and we've just kept it and obviously renovated it over the years. And it's very handy to have here, I think, for like washing hands after changing nappies as well. But yeah, that's why there is a sink in my room. It was really handy actually after changing nappies, particularly because in the newborn stage you're changing the nappy quite a bit. I think I probably changed his nappy twice in the night when he was a newborn, whereas now it's only typically one time. Actually, to be fair, the last couple of nights I haven't even had to change him at all, but in the newborn stage you have to change them so much. It was so handy to have that sink right there to wash my hands afterwards was a definite plus.
But the little thing that we've added for Baby Boy Cummy is this shelf. This is just like a £10 stick-on shelf from Amazon, and it's just so it can hold this very clever nightlight that I have. I'll show you something cool about this egg in a minute. But it's just a little shelf that can also hold a drink next to me, and I could probably put some painkillers there too if I need them.
That shelf was really handy, and again worth the £10 investment that I spent to put it there. It was a little bit annoying that nightlight didn't fit kind of properly in it because it's a little bit shallow, but it was really handy for holding a drink, and as I said, in that painkillers. I think also for a snack at bedtime too, rather than having to reach behind me, because it's just the setup of how my bed was, so that was really good to have too.
As well, so it's just a little shelf that's next to me, and obviously it's next to the plug socket so that everything is easy to plug in that way. So then moving along.
Fun fact about the cut from the last clip to this one, I spent like literally 5 minutes just going over the back of my bed, because you can probably hear I am so out of breath at this point.
To this side of the room, this is the changing area. So we have a proper changing mat for little man, but it doesn't fit this way on the table here. It only fits sideways, and I find it much easier to change babies head on. So we decided that we'd have that one downstairs and have this little this was a spare changing mat that I had from a changing bag, and all I've done is basically padded it out a bit with a towel underneath and rolled the edges in just to kind of make it a bit more enclosed and a bit nicer. So
that worked really well too. We did exactly what I said in this. We kept the bigger changing mat downstairs on the dining room table, and this one kind of on that table. The only downside to this particular changing situation was that even though it was on like my dressing table, it was still a little bit low, and I ended up getting a bit of a sore back, I think by about 3 weeks. So really and truly it could have done with being just a little bit higher, but for what it was pretty good, I have to say.
We have a changing area both upstairs and downstairs. So I have some nappies and wipes up here, but we also have a nappy caddy downstairs, just so I'm not currently going up and down the stairs when he's here.
I was given a nappy caddy as a gift actually after Oren was born. Somebody sent me one, so I ended up bringing a nappy caddy upstairs and using it in my bedroom as well.
Downstairs in the day, and obviously he'll need changing during the night. So just a little setup here. Obviously got the changing mat, got the size 1 nappies, got some fragrance-free wipes, potted Sudocrem. I don't know about wherever you are in the world, but Sudocrem is like the go-to cream for everything here. It's like an antiseptic healing cream. Nappy rash, eczema, surface wounds, minor burns, sunburn, acne, red sores, everything it gets used for, so it's quite handy. And I also
will just say that actually Oren has been, knock on wood, up until this point really good with like his skin in general. He's had very, very little nappy rash at all, if any. I've only had to use Sudocrem a couple of times really, so ended up not needing to really use that much at all, but it is still very handy to have.
Some little nappy sacks, but probably won't use them because I do have a nappy bin in this room now. Currently I have this little, this is actually my hacker, and it does currently have the hacker in it, but I've kept the pot over here for one very specific reason, which is during the night where I need to change him, I don't want to have to turn on all the main lights in my room, so my night light is quite clever. Over here, when this thing is on and you take this off, it automatically lights up. And the hacker just happens to be, the pot for the hacker happens to be the perfect height to just stick this little egg on in the night, and it just casts enough light over here that you can kind of see what you're doing. If it's on the table, it kind of gets blocked by the towel, and this is just not very secure. So this just happens to be the perfect height, so I figured I'd put it there for that. And then when you're done with it, you basically take it over, put it back on the owl. When the owl is lit up, it automatically turns off the egg, but I can kind of turn it on and off by itself as well. So that is...
Okay, so this little like egg nightlight setup I did use, but I didn't bring the egg back and forth each time I finished using it. I actually ended up moving the egg to that hacker pot and leaving it on there for the entire time. And actually its battery life is so good. I think the whole 6 weeks I was there, I left it there and just turned it on and off every time I needed to use it, and it never needed recharging. So that worked really great. But I was right that the level of brightness of that egg was the right amount to be able to see what I was doing with changing his nappy. So that was another thing that worked well.
Changing area. Next I currently have this chair in here, which I think is going to get evicted because it's taking up quite a lot of room.
It didn't. It never left. I never got around to getting rid of it. It was annoying, it was in the way, but we left it there.
And I don't think it's actually really going to get used, so I'm just going to move that out of the way for the time being. I also think with that out of the way, I might be able to put my nappy bin under here but for now, we're just going to leave it where it is.
We ended up leaving it where it was.
So currently on this side of the table, I just have my sort of postpartum stash. So these are my cloth pads, a wet bag. There's some reusable breast pads and some disposable breast pads too. This is just a random pad that I currently have that I thought I'd keep in case my waters broke at home. It'd be quite useful to shove in my underwear.
So I had a planned C-section, and luckily I didn't go into labour before that, so my water never broke, so I never used that. My cloth pads I did end up using, obviously, for my postpartum bleeding, but I didn't bleed very heavily, and by the time I got home I think I only had like spotting and one day more of bleeding after that, so it was, I didn't end up using them that much at all. The breast pads, however, I used a lot of the disposables, but the first 6 weeks I leaked quite a bit, so my reusable breast pads really weren't very comfortable at all because they would get wet so quickly. Now my milk supply has regulated, I don't leak nearly so much, so I can use reusables much more frequently, and I tend to use more of them than disposables, but in the early days I ended up using far more disposables than I did the reusables.
My fan, because I cannot sleep without white noise, so hopefully baby boy likes white noise too.
He does, good.
But this isn't a very strong fan, but it just makes enough noise to kind of get ready to sleep. Nappy bin we've just put here on a stool to make it a little bit easier to reach.
That was good actually. Having it on the stool made it much higher, and it was definitely much easier, particularly with my C-section scar. Watching this back now, I'm wondering how many people picked up on things that I had done to kind of make it easier post C-section. I was trying not to be obvious because I wasn't sharing my birth plan before I actually had him, but yeah, that was a good bet. If you are having a C-section, putting things up higher made life easier.
Second hand, I think for about £5-10. I have a nappy bin at my house, but I thought actually probably a good idea to get one for this room as well, particularly because in the night you can change quite a few nappies, and also just they smell really bad, so it's best to put them in a nappy bin. Then this is just kind of like the messy area. That's my regular bin. There's a spare car seat and a rocker for toddlers here, but that's not really anything to do with him. So then
we left that L there, it was fine.
This side of the room, currently we have my hospital bag and my hospital booster bag, which is here. So basically we've packed the hospital bag for one night. Hopefully I won't stay more than one night, but just in case I do, we've also packed an extra booster bag just to make sure that there's enough things kind of packed, extra clothes for me, extra clothes for baby, extra pads, all that kind of stuff, which could be really easy for my dad, who's going to be coming to visit us, to come and grab and basically take back to the hospital if we need extra stuff.
So I ended up staying 4 days, 3 nights, 4 days in hospital, which even with a C-section I didn't think was going to happen. I definitely needed to stay 2 nights. The third night, however, was more because they wanted me to see my mental health team the next day, and they weren't in on a Sunday, and day 3 was a Sunday. So this booster bag definitely got used, but my mum ended up only staying 1 night because there weren't any like recliner beds next to the my hospital bed, and she's got a bad back, so we agreed that she would stay 1 night with me the first night when I really needed her, and then she went home the second night. So she was able to bring this in, and actually I was able to give her a list of stuff anyway, but it was definitely handy to have that extra bag packed. So I would definitely recommend doing that if you are giving birth in the future. Having a booster bag was very handy. This isn't really nursery related, but like that was handy.
This table is kind of a bit of a mess. It's currently got all the buttons that still fit me, which is getting smaller and smaller by the day. This is a pack of size 2 nappies. I learned my lesson with one of my newborns who literally outgrew their size 1 nappies overnight, and I had 3 different brands of size 1 nappy, and none of them worked. They just decided that that was not enough absorbency for them that night, and I ended up changing them and the bed sheets 5 times in one night. So needless to say, there was a very quick trip to Sainsbury's the next morning to get some size 2 nappies. So this time I'm not making that mistake. I have them ready to go just in case.
So I don't actually remember when Oren switched from size 1 to size 2, but he was in size 1 for quite a while, and he didn't have that same situation where he went like, I'm not in size 1 anymore, he outgrew him overnight. It was a bit more gradual with him. But yeah, I do always think having the next size up of nappy is a good idea just in case, because you never know. Like I said in that clip, I did learn my lesson with that little one. But he was okay. He was quite a small baby as well, so he was in size 1 for quite a while.
And then currently these are just some cloth pants liners, and these are some little bralettes that I have cut because I can't wear like bras that have a tight underband. I basically just cut these out of a vest, and so hopefully they will work with the disposable breast pads that stick on the back. for breastfeeding.
So I did give these a go, and they kind of worked and they kind of didn't. I found they worked better putting 2 on at the same time. They just made it a bit snugger. They held the breast pads in place a bit more, but still, like, when you move around, like, you shift a bit more. And my boobs also grew bigger once my milk came in as well. So they did kind of work. I don't tend to use them now. I actually just have some like cheapy Amazon sleep bras, which I've miraculously been comfortable enough to wear most of the time, even though they've got an underband on them. But I was really worried about this, so I think it was good to try these out. In hindsight, I probably would have sewn an underband on them as well, just to kind of help hold them in place. And I cut them too soon because my boobs got bigger. Like, they basically only just cover underneath my breasts, so that was a downside as well. I wish I'd made them a little bit on the bigger side. But yeah, the idea behind it actually probably would work if you are in a similar situation of having a lot of discomfort when you wear bras. So I'm glad I gave it a shot.
A bit of a trial and error. We'll see if they work. They may or may not. But I figured I'd give it a go. And then kind of up here, this is the last bit that's sort of for baby. So these 2 drawers have my own socks and underwear in. But on top here, I currently have all my different swaddles. So I have this little Velcro swaddle from...
which he never wore. He hated this swaddle right from the beginning. He wasn't a huge fan of swaddling, but he would be swaddle. He was okay with it. But this swaddle, he did not wear. And to be honest, I don't ever recommend investing in this type of swaddle because all of my babies, I think, have outgrown them in a week. They've been able to kick their legs out or get their arms out. So yeah, don't recommend this type of swaddle.
Giorgio Mamon Bebe. It's really, really cute, but I have to say I don't actually tend to like the Velcro swaddles. I find that they work out how to get out of them pretty quickly, so they only last like 1 to 2, maybe 3 weeks.
I was right, and he hates it anyway.
But it is pretty sweet when they're really tiny to use this. Oh, I can tell I'm getting very pregnant and getting very exhausted doing this.
I remember that. I remember getting so out of breath doing this video.
The next swaddles I have here are 3 Tommee TP zip-up swaddles. I have to say I forgot that I had 2 of these. I thought I only had 1, so I put another one on my list, so I had 2. But it doesn't really matter because they're slightly different anyway. So the first one I have is this brand new one, which is a slightly higher tog. I think this one is 2 or 3 tog. So it's just slightly more warm. And basically it has zips at both ends, so you can kind of zip it this way or unzip it the other way, which means you can leave it on and just unzip the bottom when you want to change the nappy in the night. These are my favourite swaddles that I've used. I find them the best. Babies can't get out of them because they're zipped up rather than just Velcroed, and I've just always found them really great. So I have 3 of these, so hopefully he likes these.
He did. I love this swaddle. I don't think, like I said in this video, I don't think I've ever come across a baby who will not tolerate the swaddle in some way or other. Even if they don't like their arms being swaddled, they can have them out. This swaddle is highly worth investing in. It's the Tommee TP one. I said I love it. We use them literally, I only stopped using them about 2-3 weeks ago because Oren just loved them so much, and he was swaddled for quite some time. I think it's about 14-15 weeks. At that point he was rolling enough that I was like, I really have to get your arms out now. But yeah, for quite some time this swaddle was amazing.
And then finally I have one of the, I think this is the Love to Dream style, which has their arms can be kind of up like this. Some babies like it, some babies don't, but I had one, so I brought it over just in case. And then
he never wore that swaddle. I don't like that one. In fact, I need to get rid of it. It's a bit past its best. He wasn't an arms up baby. He liked them tucked in, so we never used that one.
Finally, we have 2 drawers here. One has his sort of newborn sleep suits in, so these are just some all-in-ones.
My God, I remember this. These were so cute. I can't believe he's outgrown these, and he's outgrown his 0 to 3 month ones now. It's just insane how quickly they grow. But, oh, I remember these little outfits. They're so cute.
This is pretty much all newborns live in, to be honest. So I've got, I think, between the ones that are stored in here and the ones that are in my hospital bag, about 12 newborn all-in-ones, which should be more than enough because they grow out of them in a couple of weeks. They
were more than enough. He wore them for quite some time, actually. I think he wore them about 7 weeks. He outgrew them around 7 to 8 weeks old. And yeah, about 12 to 14 sleepers, sleep suits, the all-in-ones. They were good. That was a good number to have.
And then at the back, I just have some 0 to 1 months tucked away. And then in the...
I didn't use them soon enough. I left him in the newborns because he was still fitting to his newborns for quite a while. I didn't switch into those until he was kind of outgrowing them, and by that point actually some of the 0 to 1 months were the same size as some of the newborns, so I forgot how different the sizing is on different brands, so I probably should use them a little bit earlier.
Drawer, we just have some short-sleeved vests. Again, some of this is in a hospital bag. Some long-sleeve vests, some dungarees, and one pair of teeny tiny newborn trousers. Because again, I tend not to put them in outfits when they're newborn. I tend to just keep them in the onesies, but just have a few extra outfits I thought would be a good idea. And
yeah, so he pretty much only ever wore the all-in-ones. I think I dressed him up in his dungaree and a long sleeve vest a couple of times, but I don't think he ever wore those little trousers, and I don't think he wore many of the short-sleeved vests either, because he was born in February, so it's cold, and I tended to just put him, if it was a really cold night, he'd wear them under his onesie, but usually I just had him in a onesie, so I was right, it was the onesies that were the main thing.
Yes, the final part of this tour is by my bedroom drawer, where I currently have his bath towel hanging and also his all-in-one. This won't fit from birth because it's 0 to 3 months, but once he's a bit bigger, this really soft, cuddly onesie should fit him just fine. So for the time being, I've just stored it there so I don't lose it. So yes, that is my newborn.
So I think that's mostly it when it comes to this video. I did use that towel when he was having his baths, and it's been really great. Actually, now he's bigger in particular, it's really great. And that onesie, I love that onesie. We put him in it when he was 2 weeks old, and it was massive on him, like it was drowning him. So I think he really grew into it a bit better at about 4 weeks. 4 weeks it's sort of fit, but we had to roll his sleeves back, and now he's too big for it, which is really sad. But I did love that onesie too. Okay, so that's really interesting to watch actually, because I think I did mainly keep the setup as I had in that video. Like I said in the video itself though, I have fostered newborns before, so it wasn't a complete like guessing game for me. I did kind of know things that I would need and things that I didn't. But yeah, it was a very simple setup, and it was just practical in what I needed it to do, and it worked perfectly fine. So I really hope it kind of showed people that you don't need to buy like loads of fancy stuff for a newborn. Like you can make do with a lot of what you've got, as long as you've got somewhere to change them and everything. I did get a comment, I remember, from one person being like, you'll probably end up changing them on the bed. I never changed him on the bed because, again, learnt my lesson with another child, that they go everywhere when they pee or they poo sometimes. So he was always changed on his changing table. He did sometimes pee literally onto the wall and I had to wipe it off the wall. But other than that, everything else worked. So yeah, really interesting to watch it back actually and see how things were. And also, like, totally crazy that was just a few months ago. I still can't get over that. But yeah, I hope that was interesting for you guys to watch and to see kind of like what my thoughts are going and looking back now at what actually got used and what didn't. But thank you so much for watching, guys. Do please subscribe, and I will see you next week. Thanks everyone. Have a great day. Bye bye.